So, Chris Mathews of MSNBC had this really horrible take on Bernie Sanders and just wanted to share it and discuss it with y'all. So, MSNBC's Chris Mathews suggests Bernie Sanders wouldn't stop his car to help an injured person. It's kind of a interesting point to take, especially against Bernie Sanders, because in my opinion, Bernie, out of all the Democratic candidates, comes across as the most compassionate and kind of ethical and moral out of everybody. So out of any of the presidential candidates, or Donald Trump for that matter, I would have a lot more faith in Bernie Sanders stopping to help somebody than any of the other candidates. So this was on an appearance that Mathews did on Morning Joe. So suppose you're lying on a road hurt. Maybe you've had something happen to you, you fainted, whatever happened. Which of the candidates would stop their car and get out and help you? Which of them? Ask yourself that question and you've got your candidate. I think because I'm not sure about all of them, Mathews said. I think Biden wins that one pretty easily. I think Biden, it's a silly question to even base voting on, in my opinion. If you think the person will stop and help you if you're injured and they're driving by in their car, like, how about you be discussing, maybe the merits of Medicare for All, a Green New Deal, canceling student loan debt, legalizing marijuana, taxing the wealthy, reinstating higher corporate tax rates. But no, this is the type of crap that's being put out on MSNBC, because they obviously don't want to discuss the policy merits or the platforms, especially of a candidate like Bernie Sanders, because it goes against the corporate interests that companies like MSNBC are beholden to. Matthew added that Elizabeth Warren would maybe win that hypothetical before noting, I don't think Bernie wins it. Morning Joe namesake Joe Scarborough laughed and hesitantly said that he felt Sanders would help him. Joe, you're covering yourself, Matthews said. It's like, how is Chris Mathews still on the air just saying just complete and utter nonsense and just coming with these just completely nonsensical garbage takes, exactly like Walker Bagman said. How is Chris Mathews still on the air? It's like, what? And then, okay, so you have Chris Mathews saying that, Bernie Sanders driving down the road, somebody's hurt, injured, whatever. Bernie Sanders wouldn't stop. And then you have this story from 2018. I was in awe to see him. Bernie Sanders saved a woman from getting hit by a car while he was out for a walk in D.C., and she's very grateful. This was October 5th, 2018. Senator Sanders on Wednesday saved a young woman from getting hit by a car in Washington, D.C. Amy Corodo, 26, said she was in complete awe to see Sanders shouting at her to get out of the street. Corodo said the senator was, quote, very, very kind and even obliged her request for a selfie. Amy Corodo was deep in thought as she headed to a guitar lesson on Capitol Hill on Wednesday and wasn't paying attention. She started across a busy intersection. She was walking straight into oncoming traffic when Senator Bernie Sanders stepped in and saved the day. Senator Sanders is apparently behind me, Corodo told Business Insider. He didn't grab me or anything, she said, but he started shouting, ma'am, ma'am. As he turned around, Corodo was so shocked to see the panic screams were emanating from the former presidential candidate that she froze like a deer in the headlights. I did not immediately get off the street, even though there was a ton of oncoming traffic, because I was in awe to see him, she said. He tried to continue to bring me onto the sidewalk and was like, ma'am, you've got to get off the street. You've got to get off the street. After a few more seconds of being in complete awe, Kuroda said Sanders successfully got her to come back to safety. Once she was back on the sidewalk, Kuroda asked the Vermont senator if she could take a selfie with him, and he obliged. Sanders was quite concerned about her staying in the street and very, very kind, Kuroda said. And so there's the picture of this person taking that selfie with Bernie Sanders right after basically Bernie saved her life, saved her from potentially getting struck by a car and killed or injured very badly. But Chris Mathews thinks that Bernie Sanders wouldn't stop to help a person in need if he was driving by. And this just goes to show what a complete crock of BS that Chris Mathews is. And again, how does he still have his show on MSNBC when this is the type of quality of content and take that you're able to put out there? It's pretty horrible. Yeah, and then so other people on Twitter were pointing out the story that I just shared, actually Bernie saving somebody from getting hit by a car. Yeah, it's like, Bernie has the highest favorability and trustworthiness ratings out of all the Democratic candidates. And you see, like, in actual real world, real people don't come up with these horrible takes that the corporate media hacks like Chris Mathews are putting out there on MSNBC or CNN or what have you. So pretty interesting. But it's like, again, how does Chris Mathews still on the air able to parrot just this complete and utter nonsense? But I think people are able to see through it at this point. But what do you think about Chris Mathews?
Also, guys, if we get above 160, then at my trip, we will go in the ocean. So, get us up over 160. Peace.